So, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Today, I'm talking to Ben Legg. Now, Ben is the Global Corporate Health and Safety Director over at Ferrovial. Ferrovial are a huge Spanish multinational company, and they're involved in the design, the construction, the financing, the operation, and the maintenance of transport infrastructure in many European countries. So, Ben, thank you so much for joining us and having a chat with us today.
Yeah, great to meet you and welcome to Madrid.
So very quickly, I suppose we're really interested to find out, how did you even get started in health and safety? What drew you into this industry?
So I guess I was working for a guy carrying bricks, um, and one day he actually said to me, he said, "Look, Ben, you've got half a brain, and you don't want to be a bricklayer. Go and use it." And I went to night school learning about construction studies, building
Hmm.
studies, because I enjoy construction. I know it might sound a bit weird, but I do. And so I was doing HNC, construction studies, this sort of thing. But I also was working for a company called Countryside Properties in Essex in the UK,
Hmm.
and they had a management training program. So for 2 years with them, I knew I wanted to be in construction. At that point, I didn't know that I wanted to be in health and safety. And I spent the next 2 years on their program, going from everything from accounts, HR, design, engineering, site management, and health and safety.
Okay.
And equally in the evenings, doing my construction education better than I had before. And at the end of that, I was lucky enough to be part of that incredible program. They only had a few people that they took each year on it. And Burse, remember Burse? Burse was another organisation that I was looking at the time, but I chose Countryside. And like I say, for 2 years, went through that whole program. And at the end of it, they said, you know, which department do you want to go and work in? Um, I liked being on site. Um, perhaps that suits my sort of style a little bit more. And I've spent time on site, and then eventually, I guess I was really interested in health and safety. There was something about maybe doing a job properly, maybe not just health and safety, but about delivering something really well,
Okay.
which I think health and safety goes towards really. Um, and the guy at the time, John Smith, that was his real name, sadly departed, but great mentor of mine. And he was the group health and safety manager of the business at the time. And he said, "You seem to be interested in safety. I need someone to help me and work with me." And I then left sort of site management and went and joined John in the world of health and safety, trying to make sense of it for our audience.
I guess trying out all those different paths on your way to finding health and safety, that must give you a really good understanding of the construction industry. Do you think that's what's helped you a lot?
Yeah, so people often say to me, what's most important, and I think understanding the business that you're in or the
Hmm.
industry you're in, because it's not. We so often fall into the trap of health and safety people talking to health and safety people, but to me, it's our customers, it's our audience, it's our clients, whatever you want to call, our colleagues. They're the people that we have to understand better. So it didn't matter if it was accounts. At least I knew how business worked, and I
Yeah.
knew where you could take health and safety and actually make sense of it for the business. Because I
Hmm.
didn't want to talk to myself or John all day. I needed to talk to the organisation, and whether it's HR with talking to them about training and competence of people, or whether it's the designers, that we now know, can have a massive contribution to health and safety. So, everyone's got a part to play, and I guess that is probably one of the key things is how you build health and safety into the life cycle of a business.
Yeah, definitely. And then you mentioned the night school and learning that sort of way. What did you do in regards to safety qualifications? Did you take a traditional route or what?
So a bit of both, really. I had two mentors,
Mhm.
which maybe isn't something that people traditionally do. I guess a lot of people just follow the academic route, and I did that. I followed sort of traditional examination and technical class-based health and safety education, but I also had two external mentors. The Countryside said, go and find people that are good at what it is that you're going to get into,
Yeah.
and learn from them and listen from them. So you could say it was a blend of academic and perhaps more operational and active, applying what I was taught. And I guess that's probably another area that we don't do enough of. I don't think we nurture enough graduates. I see now,
Mhm.
it's starting to get a foothold again, and we should, because with all due respect to universities, and but a degree is only valid really for the day that you do it. We just have to look at how technology is advancing at a pace that we've never recognized before. So I think you have to have a blend. Build your baseline competence, but build fast off of it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's quite interesting. You brought up the mentoring side of things. We're quite involved in a couple of different mentor schemes, including the double RSM
Yeah,
mentorship scheme, and we've found the same. It really, really helps develop strong, well-rounded health and safety professionals.
yeah.
So it's hugely important to look at that as well as the qualifications. Completely agree. What can you tell us a bit about your role now? So, what is it that you do at Ferrovial?
So I joined Ferrovial back at the beginning of November, having spent 13 years in the Middle East. But at that time I was looking after companies like Mace. You probably understand Mace in the UK,
Mhm.
but I looked after their international business, and then with ACOM, looked after their Middle East and Africa business, and then a strategic global role with them, and then joined, like I say, Ferrovial over here in Madrid. So I look after their corporate position, so building health and safety into the corporate entity. But there's multiple different parts of Ferrovial. So I also wear like a double hat. So I look after their construction business, Ferrovial Agriman.
Okay.
But so one's more active, one's more influencing. So the corporate entity and the other businesses, the likes of airports and Thintra that do all the managed lanes, it's about influencing how they can adopt health and safety into their organisation. But then Ferrovial Agriman is much more active, building what we need to do to be better effectively. So yeah, we look after. It's a global position, so we operate LATAM, North America, here in Spain, Europe, in Slovakia, Poland, UK, Australia. So there's a real sort of global feel to it, which is exciting, interesting.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
get to work with different cultures, which I've probably done for the last 20 years, overseas operations. So yeah, it's non-stop, and we're just trying to build, the next step for this business.
Fantastic. What do you think some of the main day-to-day challenges are that come with a role that size?
Um, I think you have to try and keep a bit more of a strategic view.
Okay.
You have to have a competent team to pick up the roles that need to be perhaps more hands-on. The tendency, because you've kind of been there, from being resident on a project all the way through to this kind of role now, the tendency is always to go back to your old stomping ground, where you
Mm.
really came from. And I love that bit. I enjoy going and being part of project teams, but you have to keep a focus on where are you going, what are the things that you're trying to achieve, how are we building health and safety, into that business strategy. And I hear people a lot say we need a health and safety strategy, and I'm like, why do you need a health and safety strategy? What's wrong with the business one? We separate what we do a lot, so
Right.
I'm trying to integrate what we need to focus on from the health and safety point of view into the existing business strategy.
Yeah.
It's not a business strategy excluding safety. It's a business strategy. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. But every now and again, I like to sort of go and have a little run around the projects or go and visit some of the facilities that we've got.
Okay, cool. Well, I think in health and safety, we spend a huge amount of time thinking about the challenges and the things that might go wrong, but there's so much more to safety than that. There's a lot of really inspiring stuff that comes out of health and safety as well, and we shouldn't just focus on all the challenges. So what's kind of
Yeah.
some of the most rewarding and inspiring stuff you've been involved in during your career?
So I think, yeah, it's absolutely, to the point what you're saying. We focus so much of our time on the challenges, and it's not that you should, but 90% of the time we get it right.
Yeah.
We do some amazing things, but we don't tend to understand why or how that's happened. So I think we can do a lot more. And if I think of some of the successes, someone said to me once when I was leaving Skanska from London to go to Dubai, people said, "Why on earth are you going there? The most unsustainable place on earth." And I thought, well, actually, one of my old mentors said to me, "You don't deserve to criticize something unless you're going to be part of that team."
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yeah.
and I went, and I guess some of the most rewarding things, seeing groups of people change and
Mm.
become, self-sufficient and understand how they can really embrace health and safety. I had an operations director say to me, virtually on day 2, "Keep out of my way, and I do the productivity, you do the safety." At the end, when I left that business in the Middle East, he said to me, "How do I get into safety?" So the most rewarding things are really seeing how you can influence and change teams and help people be who they need to be.
Yeah.
40,000 workers from different countries are all coming together in one place with different languages, different cultures, different values, different beliefs, and take them from having 5,000 don't walk bys or observations a month to 120,000. It
Wow.
wasn't about the number, it was about the engagement. It was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
people wanting to contribute to health and safety. So they're the most rewarding things when you see, teams of people just grow and become incredible, groups in their own right. And then
I
my own
agree. I
personal
think
thing,
yeah, it's
I've
one of
gone.
my favorite things about health and safety is watching people like yourself get really passionate when you talk about that stuff, about getting that engagement and, like you said, getting all these different cultures and all these different countries banding together. I think, yeah, I agree. I think that's massively inspiring. When it comes to that side of it and working on engagement and working on building a culture, maybe, across different countries, what are some of the
Yeah.
most important things you think for people to think about? Big list,
Um,
but
yeah, it's a big list, but it's pretty simple. I go back to some of the things we said earlier. Understanding the people that you're working with,
Mhm.
wherever they're from, whatever wherever they've been, whatever industry you're in, understand it, because you have to take your knowledge and apply it with that group of people or that business. Like I say, whichever country it is, whatever industry it is. So really understanding that audience and listening.
Okay.
You got to listen, and because that way you can then really engage with the people you're talking to.
Okay.
What is it that they need? Is it something that I want, or is it something they need? And again, I think very simple things that you can do. Integrating. How often we see health and safety people talking to health and safety people. We as a function and as professionals need to truly integrate with the industries and the businesses that we do. The one thing that would make me most happy is when I see these health and safety conferences that sometimes I go and talk at, and maybe 50% is operational people in the
Right. Okay.
audience.
Yeah.
Because we can talk to each other all day long, no problem at all. But we're only a small part in a big machine,
Wow.
and we
Yeah.
have to know what
I'd
that
never thought
place
of it like
is.
that, but yeah, completely true. I was going to ask you
We have
then
to
for
understand.
some sort of top tips for people coming into the industry. I think we covered a lot of it there, but
Yeah.
do you have any real tips for people that are just starting out that are looking at safety as their career?
Um, I think, expose yourself to different groups of people,
Mhm.
with different ideas. Don't, try to build that network outside our function. So you start to understand, who are the great leaders, who are the industries that are innovating.
Mhm.
We can become a bit siloed
Yeah.
sometimes, and yet, to me, I met a guy from SAP 2 years ago, and now helping him as a non-exec director build some technology to improve health and safety. He was never a health and safety guy, but he was building something, and that was just by chance, branching out saying, well, what do SAP do?
Mhm.
What's the technology they're working on? So really broadening and keeping your eyes like wide open, because
Yeah.
there's incredible things happening every day. Get some people that you've seen, whether it's on LinkedIn or who you think, well, actually they're doing okay. They seem to have, some sensible things to say, and try and sort of, I say, build that network of people that can give you good advice.
Yeah.
You know,
Fantastic. Really, really good advice.
yeah.
And then I suppose the last thing is, do you have a plan for yourself? Do you know what your career plan looks like over the next 5 years? Or, where do we go from here?
Well, I guess we've always had uh, career plans, and we talk about it a lot, but I wouldn't uh, let that become binding.
Okay.
If someone has said to me, "You're going to work in every continent by the time you're 49," I would have laughed. But these opportunities come, and sometimes you have to grasp them because they are going to make a difference to your life. Um, for me now, I've just joined Ferrovial, so I don't intend going anywhere anytime soon because there's a lot of work to be done. But for me, is building my sort of external support to industry. So, like I said, doing non-exec work to help some young startups and use these too many years of experience to help them. My team, I've got a young team here at Ferrovial, so my efforts are going to be to develop them and help them become successful in their own right. And then the business, build effective, felt health and safety into this organisation that is Ferrovial, whether it's Heathrow Airport, or whether it's a hydroelectric power station in Chile, or whether it's buildings here in Madrid. It's building out health and safety, so this business really understands how we can be better.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the best of luck with that and on your journey. Again, thank you so much for taking some time out to give us some hints and tips. Yeah, hopefully speak to you soon.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and thanks for the opportunity. I think it's really good what you're doing. And as a function, we should do more of it, sharing some of the things that have helped shape us. So great stuff. Enjoyed it.
Great.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ben.
Cheers.